Right. Shalom ubracha. And it's our custom to start with some jokes. So I have to lighten up the matzah with some good jokes, okay? Joke number one. There was a lady, she calls her husband, and he says, yes, dear. And she says, please tell me a joke. And he says, honey, I'm in koilel, I'm learning. She says, okay, tell me another joke. Okay. How do we know that Tevat Noach had the mikveh revolving door? You know the mikveh revolving door? How do we know that Tevat Noach had the mikveh revolving door? Because it's a shnaim. They went in two at a time. How many cell phones was there on Tevat Noach? 2 non-kosher and 7 kosher. Okay? Achron Chaviv. I hope there's no ladies listening, but we'll have to tell the joke anyway. How do we? Rashi says that the Yonah that Noach sent out was a zachar, not a nekeva. And he says sometimes the dikduk is zachar, sometimes the dikduk is nekeva, but it doesn't say how we know that the Yonah was male and not female. How do we know? Because it says when the Yonah came back, ale zait taraf befia, that he had a olive branch in his mouth when he came back. It was a nekeva. She couldn't keep her mouth quiet that long, you know. Now, finally, a New York joke. You guys will get it. What type of cake did they eat on Tevat Noach? Marble cake. You know it already. Marble cake and Yeshomrim, rainbow cake. Okay. Okay. Good. Yeah, that was the jokes. Okay. So every class that I've been giving here, we have to start off with this thing that we just were shaken with, which would happened over a month ago on Simchat Torah, to try to figure out what in the world Hashem is trying to tell us. What's the message? Okay. Just from a Breslov perspective. Most of us, I assume, made it to Uman Rosh Hashanah, which was unbelievable this year and came with a lot of tircha, a lot of waiting and traveling and delays and stuck at the border and everything and a lot of discomfort. But it was a payoff. It was unbelievable. Baruch Hashem, this year something unbelievable. There were so many people. I don't know if you heard, shiners ran out of tickets, so all the Israelis went like overflooded the Fetters. Poor Keter, you know, had all these Israelis coming in to overpower. Al Kopanim, Rosh Hashanah, we started more or less on the right footing. It was good. It says in Sfarim, in Kabbalistic Sfarim, that you got to be careful when Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbat because there's no shofar. So the Hamtakav, the dinim, is to the shofar. But there's no shofar because it's Shabbos. Rav Nosson writes, how could it be that when Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbat or even Sukkot falls on Shabbat, so there's no shofar, there's no etrog and lulav, these are such big mitzvot. So what do you have instead? That's how great Shabbat is? And the answer is yes. So, but what is instead of Shabbat? So Rav Nosson says, unbelievable. The 3 seudot of Shabbat are instead of the Tkiyah, Shvaim, and Shua. That's how great eating on Shabbos is that it's instead of the shofar. That's why we don't have shofar. There's the halakhat pshat reason not to carry because dalet amot, okay. But on a deeper meaning, you lost out on the shofar. Where is it? It's in the food of Shabbos. That's how great it is, okay? But nonetheless, they say, you have to be very careful that when Rosh Hashanah falls on Shabbos, to make sure that it's done properly. In other words, with simcha and geshmak, eating the food of Shabbos on Rosh Hashanah, and davening much more b'kavanah, because there's no shofar that year on the first day, which is Dina Kasha. The second day of Rosh Hashanah is called Dina Rafia. Dina Kasha is the main day. So, nonetheless, Rosh Hashanah was great. Yom Kippur was okay. Sukkot, Simchat Beit HaShoeva, everybody was happy. Boom. The morning of Simchat Torah. What time did it happen, by the way? When did we hear stories? 6:30, 6:35. In Eretz Yisrael, one was Netz. Netz was 6:35 in the morning, 6:36, 6:37. When you hear the stories that the Hamas penetrated and started doing their damage, it was around Netz, okay? Hashem didn't wait even a second. What's the inyan? Hoshana Rabbah is the finishing of the deen of the year. Hoshana, the Ben Ish Chai says, Hoshana, save on behalf of Na. Na is 51. 51 is the 30 days of Elul and the 21 days of Tishrei, 51, where, like we know, the Pitka, you have a last chance that even though the deen was issued on Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, depending if you're Tzaddik, Rasha, Benoni, but the actual Ptakim are sent out on Hoshana Rabbah. That's why it's a day we wear the Kittel. There's 7 Hakafot. We're up all night saying Sefer Tehillim. It's a day of tshuva to give a last chance if there's a bad deen against us to try to bring it back, okay? By extension, Rabbi Nachman says, on the night of Shmini Atzeret, Simchat Torah, when you finish Kriyat Shema and say Emet ve'Emunah kozot, at that point your parnasa is decreed for the whole year. So the day of Hoshana Rabbah, the night of Simchat Torah, it's still like last chance, fill-ins. So when does the year technically start? On the morning of Simchat Torah. And Hashem didn't wait even a second. It's like someone took the carpet from right under their feet, boom, at the beginning of the year already. Mamash, okay? What's going on? What's the message? Number one, it fell on Simchat Torah, okay? A tragedy which we haven't been hit like since the Holocaust, like everyone's saying, such a pogrom, and one day so many Yidden were killed, okay? Never on Simchat Torah, Dafka. Simchat Torah, one of the happiest days of the year. Rabbi Nachman Rabbeinu says in Sichot Haran that he told Rav Nosson, he asked him, did you dance to Simchat Torah? Were you happy? He said about himself, I was so happy this Simchat Torah, I even danced by myself. Rabbi Nachman said about himself, he was in his room dancing by himself. And Rav Nosson said, if you think about it, yes, the Simcha of Simchat Torah is being happy on our Yiddishkeit. It's the day that you're dancing of the Torah. I mean, I appreciate what Hashem has given me as a Jew, that I have meaning, I have purpose in my life, and I have the greatest Simcha that I have a part in this. So really, the Simchat Torah is Simcha and Yiddishkeit, okay? That's Simchat Torah. Number two, the first shmuot that we got, everyone, whether Eretz Yisrael or you guys, was those teenagers at that rave party that they had, the Shem Rachim, with all types of shtusim and avalim. And these were teenagers, whether the tinok shenishba, born not religious, or even many of them were children who were brought up from, but because of the dinim attitude of the parents or the families or the education system, they look elsewhere for simcha. And these teenagers were looking for simcha in another format. It's Shabbos, Simchat Torah, but they're looking for joy. In a way, it's not their fault because they've never tasted what true simcha is as a yid. It's a true simcha, like on Simchat Torah, like we have. Number three, the hostages. Okay? What is the punishment of the hostages? It's Parshat Kitavo, 98 klalot. Of them, please excuse me, I don't remember the lashon exactly. Banecha uvnotecha bashevi. Okay, that one of the punishments of the 98 klalot is your sons and daughters will be taken hostages. And in there, in Parshat Kitavo, in the middle, it says, why will this happen to you? Why will these klalot come? Tachat asher lo avadat Hashem Elokecha besimcha. Again. It's funny, the Torah, I have to say this, the Litvish, they say, you Breslivers, mitzvah gedol al yad besimcha. Where does it say, mitzvah gedol al yad besimcha tamid? Here, it's in Parshat Kitavo. Tachat asher lo avata Hashemcha besimcha. The Torah doesn't say, you're getting punished because you didn't keep Shabbos. The Torah is saying, you're getting punished because you didn't do Shabbos besimcha, you didn't do Yom Kippur besimcha, you didn't do Tefillin besimcha. The Torah is telling us, it's not a Hasidic Shavort. It's in the Torah, you're getting punished because you're not serving Hashem besimcha. Why? Because when a person is not serving Hashem besimcha, domino effect. If now push gets to shove, you squeeze such a person who is having such a burden to get up in the morning and put on his tefillin, and it's just like, it's a tircha, and it's just a burden. Such a person, push gets to shove, one of the Chas Hashem, the first things he drops is his Yiddishkeit, because he doesn't have simcha in it. What do you want? Of course he's going to drop it if he's not happy, okay? And the Torah's warning, you have to work on simcha in doing your connection to me, to Hashem, because if not, you're going to fall off. And then, now we understand why the punishments come. So we have a bit of Ramazim here. Okay, it happened on Simchat Torah. These children, miskenim at that party, whatever, and the hostages, okay? All that because of a lack of simcha. So the world, many rabbanim, many tzaddikim, mekubalim, we got to do this, we got to do more tzedakah, more shmar tanashon, we have to say more tehillim. It's true, great. But ultimately, the remez is pretty clear that there is or a lack of simcha or more simcha. If you're already happy, okay, kol hakavod, more simcha is needed now. That's the key. Rav Nosson writes that the Goyim, their whole thing in Galut is atzvut. And when the Goyim attack the Yidden, what is their interest? Why does this Hamasnik take the grandmother's cell phone and show the grandchildren on Facebook how they're shechting the grandmother? Why are they doing that? Why is it enough? Just kill them. No, we want them to feel pain. Why the Nazis, Yimach Shemam, they make the numbers, they degrade the Yidden, they make them feel lower than behemoths. Why not just kill them? Your thing is to kill the Yidden? Just kill them. You Nazis, you made it in such an organized format. Why also degrade? Because the Goyim Rav Nosson writes, their whole thing is to make the Yidden feel bad. Why? Because they want the Yidden to be b'atzvut. That's Galut. Galut is atzvut. Geula is simcha. Ki besimcha tetzeu. If that's the case, what we can do as a result of what happened is dafka to be besimcha. The greatest accomplishment, what makes the goyim really upset, is that we continue to get back up and to be besimcha. That famous picture, if you remember from the Holocaust, that you have the Nazis cutting off the beard of that old Yid, and he's smiling at them. He's like smiling while they're cutting off his beard. He won. He won. Now they're cutting his beard. They want him to feel bad, and he's smiling. Yeah, I'm Kiddush Hashem here. You can do what you want. Sticks and stones and break my bones. Nothing can hurt me. You can't touch me. I'm untouchable because I have the simcha. The Jew has what's called eternal simcha. Because everything we do, it's chakuk lanetzach. It's etched forever. You did tefillin 10 years ago, it's forever. That's it. You said a bracha 15 years ago, it's forever. Everything we do is nitzchi, and that's why we have the right to be b'simcha. They go on Club Med holidays, Jamaica, Hawaii, Maui, I don't know what. They enjoy Olam Hazeh, but it's empty, nothing. This world in itself is total atzvut. The whole chiddush of this world is that we use it to do Shabbos, to do mitzvah, to do tefillin. You buy the nice ghetto blaster and synthesizer to make music for the Simchat Beit HaShoah or the Chassan or whatever. We're using the Gashmiyut for a Ruchaniyut purpose. Great, amazing. I can now I can have true Simcha, okay? But in this world in itself is atzvut. So the message, clearly, is we have to boost ourselves with Simcha. Now Rabbi Nachman, Rav Nosson, he brings what's called the Fabulous Five. There's 5 major eitzes on how to have ability to always be besimcha. Okay, it's not easy. There's tons of challenges. Rav Nosson brings what we call the Fabulous Five eitzot. Okay, number 1, which is why I told jokes, by the way, is mila deshtuta, telling jokes, acting silly. Yes, telling jokes, acting silly. That is a mitzvah. Why? Because even though it's lo lishma, even though it's stupid and silly jokes, but it makes you laugh. It makes you laugh. Makes you wow. That feeling of, even though it's a 1-second smile and a ha ha ha, right? Nonetheless, it prepares you to be a keli for true simcha. Okay? So that's why mila deshtuta, acting, telling jokes, everything is very, very chashuv. Even in society where most people are very serious and Tisha B'Av attitude, unfortunately, most of the time, you need a lot of, you see people walking on the streets, walking in the shul, like heavy. For sure, a big boost of simcha is needed, and even more so telling jokes. B'ezrat Hashem. I have some more jokes, but we'll save it for the end of the shir. B'ezrat Hashem. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, dancing, putting on music. Yes, don't be the serious guy. Okay, should we tell something they tell me so I can't be happy? You can't listen. Put on music, dance. It's a minhag in Breslov shuls all over the world. Every day after Shacharis and after Mariv, they dance. Every day to have that dancing and connection, because nigun has such a power to wake up a person. That's the power of nigun. You have in the Sefer Torah what's called tanta, ta'amim, nekudot, tagim, ve'otiyot, right? The ta'amim, the trop, okay? Nekudot, the vowels, the tagim on the letters of Sefer Torah, and the last one is otiyot, the letters. Of the 4, the highest level is the nigun, ta'amim. It corresponds to what's called the world of Atzilut, the highest world, showing that nigun comes from a high place, and it's something very powerful to get in a nigun and simcha and dancing. It's powerful, okay? That's Eitzah number 2. Eitzah number 3 is finding your good points. The guy's negative, always negative. I didn't wake up on time. This and my tefillin and this, and always negative. A person can never continue. He can't get on with life if he's always negative. What's needed is you have to look at the good points. That's how it is. If you can't be positive, you won't make it. Number 4 is hoda'ah. The very first thing a yid starts off when he wakes up is modani. You have sometimes a guy, he sets his alarm clock to wake up for nets and everything, and he sees it's 10 in the morning. So what it normally is, I'm late, oh my God. And he gets out of bed, he forgot to say modani. We tell such people, go back to bed, say modani, and then get out, okay? Don't just walk out, Oscar the Grouch, and you go back to bed, say modani, and then get out, okay? Number 5, which Rav Nosson says is really the big zach, is you got to see things in the big picture. You got to see things, what you're going through in life, in relationship to the whole picture of these 6,000 years that we are in right now until the final time of Biat Mashiach, Tchat HaMetim, that if in the end things are going to work out in life, everything's going to work out in life, so why are you sad? Oh, my car broke down and the insurance, and I take my son to the hospital and this and that. and you're just negative and this, don't talk to me today, I'm having a rough day and bad day and everything. If you take a break and try to look at things from the big perspective, how your 120 years is just like a second in this big film of 6,000 years. So you take everything in light of the final picture. When you see everything in light of the future and you connect the future to the present, you can handle the present. It's just when you look exclusively at now and it's not perfect, not working out. That's why people are so upset and broken. It's not working out. It's not working out. Because you're looking at things in the present. Connect the future to the present. That's what gives simcha and itchaskut. I can manage it because I know that in the end it's going to work out. In the end, whether this happens or that happens, it's going to work out in the end. There's going to be tchat hametim. We're going to see our boobies, our zaydis, and everyone's going to be reunited. There's going to be simcha in the world. It's going to be good. So why kvetch now? Why no? This not. No. If you're looking at the present, you have what to be negative about. But you connect the present to the future. So these are the fabulous five eitzot Rav Nosson gives in the Likutey Halachot on being b'simcha. Okay. Now to get to what we really want to speak about, the topic of this class, which is the goal of Torah study, is Emunah. He says, Rabbi Nachman, in this lesson that we're talking about on the union of simcha, it's Likutey Moharan lesson 24. He says, when you succeed in being b'simcha, which reflects itself that you are doing the mitzvot b'simcha, you are doing mitzvot b'simcha, okay? This activates movement. There's no momentum now. Your mitzvah got things moving, and this movement and this excitement that you cause by doing a mitzvah b'simcha activates what's called bracha. You have the zchut of acting like the brachot of Hashem. The Zohar says about bracha that the true bracha is the bracha of sechel, of intellect. Like Shlomo Melech was given a choice. Hashem said to him, ask whatever you want. Okay? I give you one request, whatever you want. So Shlomo Melech was smart. He says, I want wisdom. I want chokhmah. Because da'at kanita ma chasarta, da'at chasarta ma kanita. He was smart, Shlomo Melech. I'm aiming high. I'm not going to ask for the Rolls Royce and the big palace and the castle and everything. He aimed high for sechel, the yediyah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because once you have that, you have everything in life. When you have yediyah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that's the greatest consolation. The greatest simcha is that you have a dveikun, a connection to Hashem. That's the greatest bracha. And the Zohar says, bracha, baruch, bet, reish, vav, chaf, is rashi tevot, birchot, rosh, umekor, kol. The blessing of the head, which is intellect, and that being mekor, the root of everything else. That's baruch. The main bracha is the bracha of the sechel. The Zohar says also the 10 fingers of a human being are designed like channels, like tzinorot, like pipelines, because they activate the 10 levels of chokhmah. There's 10 levels of wisdom hidden in the 10 sfirot, in the Asar Dibrot, in the Asar Mamarot of the creation of the world. And when a Yid raises his hands, the Zohar says you have to be careful when you raise your hands, not to raise them empty. When you raise your hands, always it should be with a prayer and a bakasha, because as soon as a Yid raises his hands, it automatically activates shefa. And if he raises it empty without any bakasha, so the shefa goes to the nails, the other side. The nails are the biggest klipot of the body are on the nails, right? We do negel vaser in the morning, because that's where the klipot are. So if now you raise your hands and you activate bracha to come down, and it's not accompanied with a request, it goes to the nails, it goes to the klipot, right? So it shows you the power of a yid. The hands are so powerful, okay? Going back to what we're saying, when a Jew is in a positive attitude, it's so powerful, it activates this thing called bracha. And now the main bracha, he says, Rabbi Nachman, is what's called brichat sechel, the blessing of an intellect. The person is wise, he will ask for the right thing, which is to know HaKadosh Baruch Hu better and better and better, and to come closer. So brichat sechel is the greatest blessing, and simcha has the power to bring a person to full capacity of the mind. However, that's not enough. Every time you have a bracha, there's always like a new challenge. Whenever you go up a level in life, okay, wow, I waited so many years for this to happen. Thank you, Hashem, thank you. You have a new challenge though. The challenges never end. You're going up new levels, but there's always a new challenge. What's the challenge when a person has the blessing of the sechel? The challenge is that a person can easily get carried away with the intellectual accomplishment of the Torah. The Torah is vast and it's big and it's geschmack. It's so enticing and amazing learning Torah. It's a big thing. Anyone who enters the world of the Torah, Shas, Poskim, those who are more gifted in Drash, in Zohar, in Keter Ari, when you enter the world of Torah, you can't stop. It's unbelievable. But what is the danger? The danger is the person forgets why he's learning. Why he's learning is outlined in one phrase in a sefer called Brit Olam. Rabbi Nachman quotes this phrase a lot. Tachlit hayediyah asher lo neda. You know why you're learning Torah? The reason why you're learning Torah is to wake up and realize how much you don't know. You open up your megale tefach, you mechaset tefachim. Every time you learn in the right format, you begin to see there's so much more out there. What becomes enhanced when a Jew is learning Torah the proper way? When he's learning Torah the proper way, his emunah is enhanced, dafka. Because you're learning of the goal wasn't set. I made as my goal to understand what Rashi is saying, what Tosfot is saying. I made my goal that when I'm learning Torah, I'm connecting to something, which is Ein Sof. I'm learning, I touch a Gemara, a Chumash, a Rashi. My attitude is, this is endless. As much as I understand, I know and believe there's so much more. When you learn Torah like that, your emunah is always enhanced. As opposed to what? As opposed to someone getting carried away with the intellectual geschmack and accomplishments. Because the goal of learning is you take what you learn and you put it into emunah. Okay? They say in Breslov like this, that when you learn Torah with emunah, your tfisa and your hasaga and the chidushim you can discover are far, far more greater than a person who made as their goal just to understand what Rashi is saying, what Tosfot is saying. I made that as my goal, as opposed to the guy who's learning Torah, but he has it clear in his head, even in his subconscious, that this is endless. As deep as I'll go in understanding Rashi and Tosfot and Rosh and Rish and around everything, it's just endless. I know I'm touching something that doesn't end. Look how many svarim. Asot svarim and ketz. There's no end to the svarim. As much as you learn, there's another 1,000 svarim that you didn't touch, and as many mefarshim and many deot, and it's so deep, the Torah. And that's the beauty of it. So what's the inyan? The catch is that as much as I'm going in, the Torah has to enhance my emunah. And if it's not, then I'm on the wrong track. They have a joke, unfortunately, in Mir Yeshiva in Yerushalayim. The guy is so busy learning, he doesn't have time to think about the Eibishter. He's learning so much. What about Hashem? This is something so important. The guy's learning is unbelievable, but his davening, no. The davening is down here, the emunah is down here, and the sechel is above here. That's a big problem. Pirkei Avot, kol shechochmato meruba mima'asav b'ma hu domeh, right? Someone whose chochma is above his actions, asiyah is connected to emunah, to tefillah. That's the ma'asim tovim. Anyone whose chokhmah is way above their actions, the ma'udomer, like a tree that has many, many branches, and the stem is very thin. Ba ruach kim'ah ve'ochachto, right? A small wind comes and knocks him down. Because the goal of the learning is to make sure that the emunah is enhanced. It has to be equal. I remember Rav Michael Dorfman, he was one of the Ziknei, the Breslov elders, and I had the schut for 10 years to walk with him every Shabbos home. And he would speak to us in Hebrew, not in Yiddish. He spoke to us in Hebrew because we were, what do we know? Right, Sephardi, Frankie guy, what do I know Yiddish? Come on, okay? So we're walking, and he spoke to us in Hebrew. And once there was like a Litvish Bachor who came, and he said, Rabbi, give me a bracha. I should be matzliach in the yeshiva and learning everything. So Rav Michael smiled, and he said, I'm going to give you a bracha that you should have timimut and pshitut. You should have simplicity and straightforwardness, because that's the cup for the Torah to do the right job. If you have a cup of timimut and pshitut, you can put in that all the shas, all the poskim, all the rishonim, achronim, and it'll just enhance your emunah b'ezrat Hashem. If you have a yesod chazak in timimut and pshitut, it just will, the Torah you're learning will transform you, okay? So Rabbi Nachman goes on, and he says, when a person joins now this sechel with emunah, he's then ready for a higher level of the Torah. This higher level of the Torah is the 5th level of the Torah called the Keter. There's a 5th level. Okay, we have Pardes, Pshat, Remez, Drash, Sod. And believe it or not, there's a fifth level. And in the Kabbalah, it's hinted to in the 4 letters of Yud Ke Vav Ke. You have Yud, which represents Sod, the secrets of the Kabbalah. The first Hey, which is Drash, because Drash is a very high level. Fine. Pshat, Remez is the Vav. And the final Hey is the Pshat. Everything we're learning in the Yeshiva world, that's just the beginning point. That's the Hey. Now, when a Sofer writes a Sefer Torah, and he writes the letter Yud of Yud Ke Vav Ke, he has to do something which is called Kotza Deot Yud. On the left bottom part of the roof of the letter Yud, he has to make a tiny extension. Not too big, like the Mishnah Berurah says. It should look like a chet. It has to be tiny, okay? That Kotza Deot Yud is a 5th level. This is the level of the Keter. Keter, what is the idea of the Keter? Keter is a level of the Torah which is accessing HaKadosh Baruch Hu's wisdom at the highest level. It's called the Or Ein Sof. Or Ein Sof, the infinite light, okay? This level is accessible. This level, the Torah says, when we learn, brought it down, Rashi brings it down on the Pasuk in Mishlei. Mishlei, I think chapter 6, chapter 7. The Pasuk says, Va'eyeh etzlo amon. The Torah says about itself that I was by Hashem amon. What's this word amon? So the Midrash Rabbah brings 5 explanations, okay? Each one corresponds to a different level of the Torah, Pshat, Remez, Drash, Sod, and the 5th one. The 5th one, the Midrash says, Davar acher, al tikhe amon ela uman. Just don't laugh, not uman, Breslov uman, okay? Watch. Uman as kli umanuto shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That the Torah was the vessel Hashem used to create the world. That's the famous Midrash that we heard, that we know. When Hashem created the world, he used the Torah as his blueprint, like an architect. An architect, when he makes a building, he doesn't come to the contractor, okay, 5 meters here, 5 centimeters there, and make the 2nd floor here. He has a blueprint. As on the paper, he plans out, okay, the 1st floor will be like this and that, 2nd floor like this, here's the stairs, here's the window. So too, Hashem used the Torah as a blueprint. He looked into the Torah and created the world. So the Midrash says, the Zohar explains on this Midrash, which level of the Torah are we talking about? Is it talking about the level of the Keter, the highest level? This level was what Hashem used to create the Torah. The Zohar calls this Amon Mufla. Amon Mufla. Mufla means Pele, something which is Mufla and Mechusem ibn Adam, something which is totally removed, which is this 5th level. We're going to go back to this. First, we have to introduce something else. The Sfarim say that these 4 galuyot that we've gone through, the galut of Mitzrayim, the galut of Bavel, the galut of Yavan, and the galut, now we're in Edom, correspond to these 4 levels of the Torah, Pshat, Remez, Drash, Sod. To explain, the Yidden who were in Mitzrayim, okay, they were holding at such a high level that the Pshat of the Torah, the Pshat, which we all have access to find, was enough to give them chayut and koach. They didn't need the secrets of the Kabbalah or Midrash, which was all hidden in the Torah at that point. They didn't need that to connect to Hashem. They were holding at such a high level that the pshat was enough to give them chayut. Okay? So that's the Lashon, Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim is when there was tsar, mitzarim, and tightness, and they needed a nechama from the Torah. So the level of pshat was that available. That's what they received at Har Sinai to bring them out of Egypt. That was enough. Even though, again, all the 4 levels are in the Torah hidden. But at that time, the revealed level of the Torah was enough for these Yidden who left Egypt and until Bayit Rishon to have chayut from the Torah. It was enough. Okay? Came along Bavel, which like Rashi says, Balalet HaKol, Bilbelet HaKol. Bavel is Milashon Bilbul, Bilbul Adat. The Galut of Bavel was a newer level now, a newer challenge. What? Okay, you have the Pshat of the Torah, but you have Bilbulim, you have confusions. You have things that are not clear in life, and the pshat of the Torah at this point is not enough to give me the chayut to connect to Hashem in combating this bilbulim. So it's as if the cause of the galut of Bavel was bilbul adat. There was confusion. Came along the 2nd level of the Torah, remazim, showing this is hinted here, this is gematria, this and that. That was enough for that generation to give them the chayut to withstand the challenges of Galut Bavel until Bait Sheni. Bait Sheni, Yavan. Yavan is Milashon Yeven Metzula, quicksand. You're sinking in. Mitzrayim is just being squeezed. Bilbul confusions, but Yeven Metzula is like, your mamash, help, I don't know what to do. That's the third level of the drush. The drush was enough. The darshan, what does he do? He has to dig and find remazim, but hidden. And they're hidden to an extent that he has to really dig to bring out a nice, presentable chidush. That's the idea of drush. The drush is a level of the Torah that's mamash, gives you the musar value of the Torah to wake you up while you're learning, while you're yid, to mechazek high levels of emunah. That's drush. To counter Yavan, the drush was made accessible at that time. Finally, Edom, which is our present galut. Edom is milashon medame, the imagination. This final galut, which is the toughest one, Edom, is where there's a major distortion of the imagination, causing not just confusion, which is bilbul, causing frustration. That people don't know anymore what's right, what's wrong. There's frustration. I don't know, am I advancing? Am I going back? Especially now with technology, this AI. You don't know anymore what's real, what's wrong. Everything is upside down. That's this final galut of Edom. In this galut of Edom, the Medameh, we had the revelation of the Zohar, revelation of the Arizal. Kabbalah became prevalent and accessible and available, giving the Yidden after the Inquisition or after Tachvetat, whatever, a newer level of hope from a deeper level of the Torah. But now, this last stretch of the last 250 years, where we're holding now, a new Makkah, this level of the Reform Judaism, the Haskalah, where we're in a situation where there's 16 million Yidden in the world, and the majority don't even know anything of Yiddishkeit. We're very few Jews who are Shomer Torah mitzvot. There may be a million and a half. How many from Yidden in the world, okay? The majority of Yidden are detached, assimilated. This Makkah has never been in history. Whenever there was a Makkah in Galut, Bavel, and Mitzrayim, so more or less the Yidden were there. They were falling off here and there. They got smacked up a little, but there was a wake-up call. But here in a situation where the majority of the Yidden are detached, it's crazy. Detached at and after all four levels of the Torah have been revealed, it's still not enough. It's not working. It's not moving. Comes along, Zelu Madzeh. Whenever there's something negative, it's a rule Rashi brings down. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Tamid Makdim Refuah Lemakah. When Hashem sends a new challenge, He doesn't send it unless and until He also sends a remedy to it. So if you take a look at history, when the reform movement started and all the garbage happened in the 1700s, 1800s, whatever, which has led to such churbanot that we have today. At the same time, Hashem sent the Baal Shem Tov, Chassidut. What is Chassidut? Chassidut is what takes which is even beyond Kabbalah, taking the highest levels of Torah and bringing it down to even a regular Pashat Yid who knows nothing. Doesn't have Shas and Poskim in his head. He's not a Baki. He doesn't have a sharp head to learn Rashi or Tosfot. And yet to enable him also to feel a connection to Kadosh Baruch Hu. Because if not, so then only the elite, only the smart guys and the best guys, they can connect to Hashem. And the guys who are the cleaning ladies, the janitors, everything, you can go fly a kite. There's nothing for you. Chas v'shalom. What the Baal Shem Tov brought into the world is to activate and enable the highest levels to even a regular Yid, that he can make that connection, which is what's needed now, okay? This is the challenges we're facing now at this last stretch. There's so many cases of off the derech children and this and that, and the Torah that's available is not enough. The yeshiva doesn't talk to them. The Gemara doesn't talk to them. So what can talk to them is the pnimiyut, bypassing even the level of the sod, this level of the keter, this fifth level. And this is the last stretch now of Galut Edom before Mashiach comes. Why we had such amazing teachings of the Chassidut, of the Baal Shem Tov, and of Rabbi Nachman. Okay, Rabbi Nachman said about himself, "Ani ish pele, v'nishmati pele gadol." He said about himself, "I'm a man of the pele." Pele, we just said earlier, is that level of the keter. He said about himself, "I'm a man of the keter." His whole thing is to access people this level of the keter, and his neshama, which the Chidush is on, he said nishmati. After his passing, he said, my neshama that leaves is even a greater pele. That he, in his teachings, in his farm, allows people who are so far to connect to the highest levels. What's the sign of that, by the way? The sign of that is that anyone who opens with an honest perspective, Rabbi Nachman's teachings, you feel he's talking directly to you. Something phenomenal. You can't necessarily do that with a Gemara or Sugya. You can't do that with a Rashi and Tehillim. I can't do that in Mishnah. It can if you have the right perspective, if you're holding at a high tzaddik level. But for a regular Yid who's honest and sincere, to see the Torah connecting to him, you don't see it anywhere like you do. And Rabbi Nachman's teaching. You can test it out for yourself, right? It's something which is accessible then. So now, the thing is about the Pele, this Keter, that in order for a person to experience it, a person has to have what's called a setback in life. Okay? To explain, the Pshat, Remez, Drash, Sod, how they work, is that you start learning Torah, and you have Kviyut, your Kovei Aitim La Torah, and you develop and develop and develop, and you're always going up and up and up and up. And like we said, the Emunah with that is that you're learning with Emunah. I'm learning to enhance my Emunah. That's great and fine and dandy for Pshat, Remez, Drash, Sod. But the level of Keter, which is accessing what's called light, where a Yid wants to feel light in his Yiddishkeit. Or is Gematria. That's 1, 6, 200. 207 is exact Gematria as Ein Sof, the infinite light. Meaning what? When a Yid feels a light in their davening, feels a light in the Avodat Hashem, it's coming, a light from this high level called the Or Ein Sof, but it's temporary. It's like a zap. It comes down to you, it gives you the root, and then it takes off. This Rabbi Nachman says in lesson 4 of the Likutey Moharan. You have sometimes a person's davening, and all of a sudden he comes to Psukei de Zimra, he comes to one kapitel, and he connects to the words, and he feels such a light, he feels like a bittul, but then it goes away. This happens purposely. This is to let a person taste this light, and now the follow-up. It's like the Pasuk says in Shir Shirim, Moshcheni, Acharecha narutza. Wake me up, Hashem. Like we're saying to Hashem, draw me to you with this light, and then you take it away from me. Acharecha narutza. Now I'm come running after you, B'ezrat Hashem. Okay? So how the Keter works is that it's the faculty of the mind when he experiences a big light to run forward. Where do we see that? The classic example is in the Hagbala of Kabbalat Torah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe Rabbeinu, Hagbel et Har. You have to make a wall around the mountain. Moshe Rabbeinu said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, wait a second, but I already told them they're not to come up. They're not going to come up. Hashem says, like Rashi explains there, nonetheless, when they see the exposure of such a high level of light, they're going to forget everything and run forward. So to a Yid, when he's given a light in his darkness, he just drops everything, forgets everything, and runs after the light, okay? So it's normal for a person after having an enlightened experience to go forward and run after this light. The thing is that if he does so, he'll melt, he'll disappear. Because a human being is what's called finite. You're not infinite, you're finite. You're a human being, you have Hagdarot. This light is coming from a level called the Ein Sof. And for them to merge, a person will disappear. And yet, Hashem wants man to experience this light while in a physical body. Hashem created the world that we should see Hashem in this world. That's what he wants. To join something which is infinite, infinite. So now, how that works, as a person experiences what's called in the Zohar, a betisha. You're pushed back. You're pushed back. Which means the setbacks that a Jew has. When a Jew is honest and sincere, I want to wake up for Chatzot, I want to wake up for Shachris on time, I want to do the mitzvah properly, and then boom, bang, baf, everything doesn't work out. He didn't wake up on time, and this, and he has setbacks, and he's broken, he's tzibrochen. He said, Hashem, I'm trying to be a good Jew. I'm not trying to do bad things. I just want to serve you. And I get slapped like this. So the test is, the person begins to feel, maybe Yiddishkeit at this level is not for me. I'm just going to be like everybody else and just put my head down and be in Tisha B'Av mode and just forget about it. It was a light, it was a ribu or, but it's not for me. Or is he going to say, wait a second, this is a preparation, this is a prerequisite to advance. So they push you back. It's called, in the terminology of Chassidut, Yerida, the Tzorach Aliyah. They're pushing me back in order to draw me closer, okay? By the way, this explains why many Breslov Chassidim, they feel like everyone else is better than them. They have so many setbacks, okay? They begin to feel, hey, look at my neighbor, the nice super Litvish guy, he's so nice in Misuder, and his kids are like all Misuder and everything, and the ched everything. And look at my house, everything's upside down, the kids are like this, and then they're like this, and the wife and this. We begin to feel, why is that? Why is that the Breslov guys have such a hard time? And other guys or just the regular Litvish guys, Yeshivish guys. It's just great, the Kishmak. Why is that? Because there's a difference in what they're looking for. The Pashtanim guys, they're happy with Pshat Midrash. That's all I'm okay. I'm okay to have a dry life for the next 120 years. I have my Daf Yomi Seder, I have my normal Seder. That's great. Shalom Alay Nafshi. I'm happy to live in my little block. Even though it may not be the real thing, I'm happy with it. Okay, you want that lesser level of truth? No problem. But the people who taste the light of the Keter, after tasting a higher level of Yiddishkeit, of all, you know automatically that you settle for anything less, it's not the real thing anymore. That's it. So Rabbi Nachman said, Ani ish pele. My whole thing is to connect people to the pele. And the way the pele works is you get pushed back in life, okay? What's the test? How do you stand up to these tests? That's what we said earlier. If a person is not solid in simcha, then when he has these setbacks, he takes them in the wrong way. He says, that's not for me. Whereas a person who's so strong in simcha that nothing pushes him down, he'll take the setback as a preparation, as a stage, as a preparation. Okay? So this explains why in Breslov we go through such opposite direction. Here, the emunah that's needed is the opposite. You need to believe that this setback is really a yerida letzorach aliyah, as opposed to emunah and learning Torah, where I'm going forward, but I believe there's much more out there than what I see, and I'm learning on that condition. Here, the emunah used in the Pele, the Zohar calls it amon mufla, which means emunah in this level of the Pele. That what? The setback is really a preparation for the next stage forward, B'ezrat Hashem. It's the opposite of what you think. You think, it's not for me. You didn't get the remez, you didn't get the sign. How do you take the sign? As something as a setback or as a preparation for something new level? So the key here, he says, is the simcha. The simcha is what allows you to access the Keter. Rav Nosson shows all this in one pasuk. The famous pasuk from the Gemara, Masechet Shabbos, Daf Pechet, on Kabbalat Torah. When the Jews said, Naaseh v'nishma, where you know the Gemara, 600,000 angels came down. They put two ktarim on the head of ktarim, dafka, two ktarim on the head of each yid, one for Naaseh, one for Nishma, and then after Chet HaEgel, 1,200,000 angels came down and took back the crowns. And the Gemara continues, V'atid HaKadosh Baruch Hu lachziram, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to bring them back, like the pasuk says, V'simchat olam al rosha. Okay, what's the pshat? Simchat olam, the simcha, which was always there, the simcha of the Ktarim of Naaseh v'Nishma, will be restored al Rosham. Rav Nosson reads the pasuk like this: Simchat olam, the simcha that you try to have while in this olam which is minashon ha'alama, concealment. The simcha that you try to serve Hashem in all the ups and downs, all the difficulties. My davening today was like this, but I davened, okay? I put on my tefillin. I didn't know I was putting my tefillin, but I put on the tefillin. The mitzvahs, even though they're not shalem, they're not perfect. I want it to be perfect, right? I want to have brisker mahajin and mahajin mitzvahs. If it's less than that, I'm not interested. It has to be perfect. I just we're talking about briskers, just a joke. I'm sorry about the briskers right here, but the brisker was saying Shema Yisrael Hashem Echad, and he said, "D like David, okay? Echad." All right. Even if the mitzvot are not perfect, I'm happy. That's the thing. Not to say, my davening went down the drain today. Another gave 5 full davening. Because she woke up when I by Sim Shalom, I did realize I'm in davening, right? Person feels so bad of his mitzvot. So now take the opposite. Simchat olam. This simcha, while I'm in the olam, in the halama, that dafka, that simcha, al rosham, that brings to the keter. That brings to the hasaga of the keter. Even if a person were to learn Shas and Poskim 1,000 years, without setbacks, he won't perceive the Keter. It's dafka, the setbacks, which build a person to have a keli, allow him to perceive al rosham, simchat olam al rosham. Okay? So this shows the kesher of simcha to emunah, to Torah study, and the higher level of emunah, and thus we can be ready to receive the Keter fully. When Mashiach comes, the whole idea of that when we mamlich and machtir Mashiach tzidkenu is that the idea is when we machtir him with this keter built from all the setbacks of all the yidin throughout history, all these 2,000 years of galut, whatever we've gone through, all the yidin that we kept on holding on, another pogrom, another difficulty, another setback. And yet the Yidden, b'klaliyut, b'pratiyut, they kept on holding on and kept on getting up. We have a joke in Breslov that Breslovers don't drink just Fresca and Coca-Cola. We drink 7-Up. Sheva Yipol Tzadik, Vakam, 7-Up. You got that? Our drink is 7-Up. We drink not Sprite, 7-Up, okay? The idea is that we have what's called in English resilience. A Yid, his uniqueness is that after everything we go through, we get back up. There was a Yid, it's an amazing story. There was a Breslover. He managed to escape to Shanghai with the Mir Yeshiva and the Yeshiva of Chabad. He had some business dealings in Vilna. So he was very smart. As soon as the Nazis came into Poland, he felt something was wrong. And he had business dealings in Vilna, so he had a reason to go there. He left his family behind in Poland, going to Vilna, trying to find a way what to do. Everyone then didn't know what to do. But those who were smart left early. They said, this doesn't smell right. And the people who were Pikrim, they took off immediately. So because he was in Vilna, at the time, you probably know the story with the Japanese ambassador to Lithuania. He arranged for all these Yidden who were there, a few thousand to get visas to go all the way to Kobe in Japan, and from there to Shanghai. So this Breslover, he lost his wife and his kids. He was 50 years old at the time. Okay, he's buried in Har Zeitim. He lived in Brooklyn. Avraham, it's hard to pronounce his last name. Pashavkis, thank you. Okay, I can't say that. All right. So he lost everything. Okay, and almost all the people who went to Shanghai and then after survived the war, they also lost everything. They lost their families, their parents, and everything. Most of them, after the Holocaust, after the war, they couldn't get back on their feet and start again. It was hard for them. They were so traumatized. They lost their wife and their kids and everything. Many of them didn't remarry. He was 50 years old. Okay, he gets to New York. He remarries a lady like 20, 30 years younger than him. Bat Banim. Okay, he has a son. And one day he comes to Eretz Yisrael and he's walking in Bnei Brak, and he's now like 63, 65. And his son is like 13 years old. And he sees one of the Rabbanim from the Mir Yeshiva in Shanghai who remembered him, like the happy Breslover. Okay, he's the one who printed a Tikkun HaKlali in Shanghai. You see, the Mir Yeshiva, when they got to Shanghai, the one thing missing was farm. So they had a deal with some printing press in Shanghai to print very cheap this farm. So he figured, it's so cheap, let me print the Tikkun HaKlali also. So he printed the Rabbi Nachman's Tikkun HaKlali in Shanghai. Okay? So he's on Bnei Brak and he sees one of the Rabbeim that was in Shanghai with him. And he sees him and he's so excited and everything. And he sees this young man next to him. He said, who's this young man? Like he figures, who is it? He said, it's my son. He said, what? You were able to remarry? And the Rosh Yeshiva just started to cry. Because most of them, they couldn't start again. It was so hard with the trauma that they had, what they went through, to start again. He had resilience. Yeah, it's easy, start again. I lost my wife, lost my kids, but I'm starting again. It's a resilience. It's a call to restart again, okay? This also, we'll finish with this. This is the whole idea of Chanukah, right? They say the terminology in halacha is mosif veholech. The minhag is by everyone, Sfardim, Temanim, Ashkenazim, Hasidim. Everyone does today mosif veholech. When you understand the literal translation of mosif veholech, you understand where I left off yesterday. From there, I'll continue. So I lit on the first day of Hanukkah one candle. Let me light the second candle from that point. Why do I have to go back to the beginning? Mosif ve'olich. I'm adding and going forward. That makes it, on the pshat, on the translation of the words, go forward, okay? No, Chazal said you go back to always the beginning. Why? Because the secret of Hanukkah is the secret of the Keter. In other words, the light, the whole name of Hanukkah is Or, which is Gematria Ein Sof. The purpose of Hanukkah Licht is to shine in your darkness, Dafka, this light of the highest level of the Torah, the Or Ein Sof. Dafka in the time of the year where we're shifting from Kislev into Tevet and Shvat, which are Chodashim of darkness, of Dinim technically. They're not so easy months, okay? To shine a person a light of Hitchaskut and Or from the highest level. But how does it work? You're always going backwards. Take a look. You're lighting the second day. Where do you start? Go back to number one again. Okay, day 3, go back to number 1. Always throwing me back to number 1. What did I do wrong? That's how it is. You have to build Kalim. You have to go backwards, wait, and then start again. and then they push you back. You ready for day 4? No, go back to 0. Start again at candle number 1, 2, 3, 4 until you're at the eighth night of Chanukah. Because that's the attitude of the Nerot Chanukah, as we're pushing back in order to advance. Okay, so your Ratzon, we should be zocher, first of all, to realize that we're in the period of the Keter. That's it. Doesn't help. Pshat Remez Drash Sod, we do learn, but it's not enough. It's not enough. Proof being the challenges that most people are facing. The challenge is way up here, and the Torah study that I'm learning is way down here. And there was not matching a nechama and hitchaskut. I need a higher level. I need the Keter and malasot. That's how it is. The proof is, look how what I'm going through. I'm plutzing in my challenges to serve Hashem. It's my grandparents didn't go what I'm going through. What's happening here? It's a remez. It's a sign you need the level of the Keter. Your son, we should be zoche to access the Keter because we have no choice. That's now we're at the final leg of the galut before Mashiach's coming, and the way to access it is through simcha, which is why it's such a big thing to work on simcha. And like the pasuk says, ki b'simcha tetzeu. People all over the world, when this happened a month ago, that's it. Mashiach's coming. Mashiach's coming. It's not the signs of Mashiach. Mashiach won't come out of da'aga and pachad and worry. No, that's not the sign. The psukim say, ki b'simcha tetzeu, az yomu bagoyim, higdal Hashem lasot imele, higdal Hashem lasot imanu, hayinu smechim. The goyim have to have the simcha. The Mashiach, the sign of Mashiach, is when everybody's laughing, everybody's happy, and the goyim are taking us for free on United Airlines or whatever, Alal, they're taking us for free back to Eretz Yisrael. Every goy that says, we'll take by hand every yid, come back to Eretz Yisrael, it's time. The goyim will bring us back out of simcha, not out of worry and hatred and free Palestine and that, okay? By the way, just on the side, Plishtim, Rav Nosson says, Plishtim is milashon mefulash. This whole thing that they're saying Palestine, it's technically Aza is the land of Plishtim. That's where it is, okay? And they're called Aza. Aza, it's like Azut, Chutzpah, Mamash Chutzpah, or Gaza, Ligzoz, right? Reshita Gez. They're cutting people, and Chutzpah, okay? But that's Eretz Plishtim. Rav Nosson says, what's the in a Plishtim? Milashon mefulash. Like in Yelchot Eruvin, you have a Mavoy mefulash, which means what? Open here. No mechitza, no wall. What's a mefulash person? Rav Nosson says, someone who just wants the light. I want the orot. I want the lights. I'll do anything to get it. If it means to have a high without any in sheker, I just want that light again. That's a person who's mefulash. He's tasted a spiritual light. He's after it. So he goes somewhere to the mountains in Sfat, and he's in the mountains there, and he's whatever, flying and smoking whatever, chas v'shalom, and he thinks that's the way to get to the. So these type of people, they're ya'alu shamayim, yedu te'omat. When you see the message of the achzariyut that they did, the Hamasnikim, is exactly the qualifications of a person who's mefulash. Dafka, the people who go super high, they crash super low. You sometimes see these Baal Tshuvas, they're just too much on fire, okay? And you feel not good about it. You say, it doesn't look right. He's not within the parameters of halacha and hashkafa. I feel something's wrong. And you see 10 years down the line, that's about tshuva, shaven head, 5-10 earrings here. What happened? You were davening like Moshe Rabbeinu. What happened? He went up too fast. Ya'alu shamayim, yadu te'omot. He teaches Rav Nosson, in order to experience light in life, you have to have tzimtzumim, you have to have setbacks. You have to be normal. It has to be that a person has the Beis Midrash life, and then he has to go to work, he has to go to the supermarket, he has to go on the bus. You have in and out. Life has to be in and out. There is Shivit Hashem Negdi Tamid. There is a mitzvah to think about Hashem, but you have different gear shifts. There's the gear shift when it's easy to do so in the Beis Midrash, the Beit Knesset, but you have the second gear shift when I'm now out in the world. If to think I'll be just 24/7 in a Beis Midrash, and like that'll connect to Hashem, you'll fry. It'll burn out. The spark plug will just extinguish. You need in and out. That's how it is. Or if not, a person becomes a mefulash. Or just open, and he has too much light, and he crashes. Okay? It has to be hagdarot. That's what Rashi says, right? On Parshat Beshalach, V'lo nacham Elokim derech eretz plishtim ki karovu. Okay? What's the idea? Hashem didn't lead the Yidden out of Mitzrayim derech plishtim ki karovu. Meaning what? It's a mefulash derech. It's too easy. Too much light. He had to make sibuvim, had to make all types of things to get them to Eretz Yisrael. So it should be lasting. Shouldn't be they come in and then lose it. Okay? So your son, we should be strong. in establishing tzimtzumim, taking the setbacks properly b'simcha, and that's what builds up a person b'ezrat Hashem. Now, one final thing. Everything we spoke about tonight is based on what Rabbi Nachman teaches in a lesson, Likutey Moharan, lesson 24. For those who don't know how Likutey Moharan works, it's not like a normal sefer. It's a sefer that the more you learn it, the more you activate it, which means you begin to see things in your life that are happening, that are related directly to what you're learning, and these things weren't happening before. All of a sudden, you learn these inyanim, and wow, I see the kesher, I see the remez, what Hashem's showing me, and it's so obvious. That's happening due to the sefer, okay? That's one thing. Another thing is now, after seeing it, but now incorporating, internalizing it. This is a concept Rabbi Nachman talks about called la'asot mitorot tfilot. To explain as an analogy, a person, God forbid, has like an ointment, a sickness, he has like a rash on his elbow, okay? So he goes to the pharmacy, buys this very expensive tube of a type of antibiotic cream, right? Okay. But if he doesn't apply it, it doesn't help. Okay. So it's two things: creating an antidote, an eitzah, bringing it out to life, and then applying it. Okay. Learning Torah of tzaddikim, of chassidut, the Rabbi Nachman, for example, they activate these things in your life, and you see them. Wow, very nice, bravo. I see it in my life. But now to internalize it, it's davening about it. So he introduced this concept of taking his lessons and rephrasing it in prayer format. His disciple, Rabbi Nachman, the disciple, his name is Rav Nosson, he did the job. He took Rabbi Nachman's Likutey Moharan and he made prayers out of the lessons. To the extent that Rav Nosson said about these prayers, any day we don't say them, at least someone who knows about their greatness. What's the greatness of these prayers, by the way? Is that as soon as you open them, you find yourself immediately. It's like Tehillim, where you have to work to find some Remazim, or your Shacharis or Mincha Marev. Here are these prayers. As soon as you open them, here you are, right over there. Unbelievable. Hashgacha Pratit at a high level. Okay? So now, going back, these prayers, Rav Nosson, he wrote them on the Likutey, like I said. He said about them, people who know about these prayers and don't say them will have to give what's called a din v'cheshbon. They have to give a din v'cheshbon on every day they didn't say them. Okay? He did not say this on Rabbi Nachman's Likutey Moharan. You would think Likutey Moharan is the magnum opus, it's the major sefer of Rabbi Nachman. He said it on his prayers because that's the idea. The greatness, Tachlit Torah, is tshuva umasim tovim. And he, in his prayers, did that. It's one of the most phenomenal books in the world. Okay? I don't know, this is Shaykh here. People have QRs here. I don't know if do people have QRs? Okay, I prepared. You have a WhatsApp group with a link to a prepared PDF file. If this is Shaykh to anyone here who has access to this, where we prepared in a 40-day shita, a 40-day challenge to taste this Torah with the tefillah, but it's in English. It's on the Shana Kodesh. I don't know if it applies to. Take a look at it, okay? Pass it there. Wait, pass it there. Pass it there. Yeah, pass it on. Jomo, for those who can see it. And also have a second QR for anyone who wants to send the support to us and what we're doing in Breslov therapy, and explains in the bottom what we do. Here at Son Bezat Hashem, we should be zochah to be Mekayim Zayin and have an amazing Chanukah with the light of Mashiach, the light of the Keter Bezat Hashem. Thank you. Oh, jokes, yeah. The second joke.